It is a pretty rainy day, as you can probably see from the intro clips, and I can't really do anything outside with the car, so today my plan is to fix the stereo. So the stereo that came in the WRX, I think the speakers are stock, but the head unit is not, but it looks like it's maybe an aftermarket head unit from the early 2000s. It sounds absolutely terrible. The speakers sound terrible. There's no bass, which is the same thing in my other Impreza, so I'm not surprised. I would say that stock Subaru radios from the mid-2000s are some of the worst sounding stock radios I've ever heard. And it sounds so bad I don't even want to listen to podcasts when I'm on the way to an autocross. That's how bad it is. And on top of that, sometimes some of the speakers cut out, so I think there's probably also some wiring problems behind the head unit. And given how old it is, that's not surprising. So I didn't want to spend a ton of money because I'm wanting this to be awesome. I'm wanting this to sound like basically a really nice stock system, and that'll be perfectly fine. I love audio. I'm a little bit of an audiophile, but I'm also realistic in that you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on an audio setup for everywhere, because I don't know how many audio setups I have in the house, but it's enough. I don't need to spend a bunch of money on it anymore. So I decided to do this as a fun experiment to see how little could I spend and still get a decent system. So let me show you what we got. All right, so everything here is either scratch and dent, open box, something else like that. So we've got some basic Rockford Fosgate speakers, slightly larger in the front, slightly smaller in the back. A basic cheap amp wiring kit. This really cheap Kenwood head unit. It looks extremely basic, but I'm actually kind of excited about that because it doesn't look like it has a ton of features that I don't care about, and it supports Bluetooth and has an easy to use screen. So I'm probably not going to mind that too much. This is the only thing that was free, besides the free installation gear that Crutchfield gives you, of course. This was an old Rockford Fosgate 600 watt amp that a friend had left over. It does have bridge mode. Let's see how quickly autofocus works. Not bad. Okay. It can run in bridged. It'll probably be more than enough power for this old Sound Ordnance box. So this is also from Crutchfield. This is like a Sound Ordnance 12-inch sub in a basic ported box. There's your port, and I think this whole thing, scratch and dent, was like 70 bucks. So between everything, and granted, yes, I did get that amp for free, I think I've spent $230 on everything I need, wiring, etc., to hopefully make that not sound terrible. So next step is I'm going to go ahead and pull it in the garage, and we'll get to work. Okay, today's episode of Let's See What the Previous Owner Did, or this could be like 2 or 3 owners ago, I don't know, this head unit looks pretty old. So this cubby is, well, I'm pointing at the wrong place because I can't see my finger behind my phone. This cubby is taped in with packing tape, which is great. All of the power wires, they're electrical taped instead of soldered, which I don't mind. I usually electrical tape stuff too, because it's easier to make adjustments later if you need to, but I don't just leave them loose like that, because that is a good way for the connections to get stressed over time and then have connection issues like I have now. It looks like, so this is why it doesn't dim. Here's a dimmer control from the wiring harness, and here's a dimmer input from the receiver, and they're not hooked up to each other. Looks like there's a USB port on the back, not sure what that's for. A piece of paper tucked in here. What's this? Cool. A scratch-off lottery thing. Let's see, when was this from? Do they have dates on them? That'll help me date the stereo. No. Let me just make sure, like, this person didn't win, did they? I don't know how to read a scratch-off. Match any of your numbers to either winning number. Okay, so it looks like it's not a winner. So why would they keep it tucked in there? I have no idea. Let's see, what else? What else did they do wrong? Those are the big things. It's just like, it's just very poorly done. So I'm going to disconnect all of this, and then we're going to do a good job installing the new one, and then hopefully these issues will go away. Some of you are probably wondering why I prefer electrical tape instead of solder or heat shrinking the connections. I am admittedly not very good at soldering, so that factors in, but in my experience a good solid wire twist with electrical tape is fine as long as you can avoid stressing the connection. So I typically strip the wire farther than most stereo harnesses come from the factory, probably down to 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of bare wire. Then after a good tight twist, I wrap about 1 inch of the wire around the connection. Then once I've tested everything and verified that it's solid, I wrap all the wires together to make a sort of harness. This keeps the wires protected, the connection area isn't bulky, and it's still fairly easy to disassemble in minutes without cutting wires if I need to make any changes. The Crutchfield kit came with a plastic mounting adapter for the head unit, but I liked the metal brackets that were already in the car, so I'm repurposing them. I swapped the strips of packing tape for real fasteners though. I decided to go ahead and install the included mic in case I wanted to take calls on the road, and then the next step was just to finish mounting the head unit and close everything back up. Old Subarus might have really bad stock systems, but they're easy to remove and the dash usually goes back together without many issues. For a cheap head unit, this one has 2 different LED lit areas with what looks like full color customization. That's pretty cool. It also has all the normal EQ and crossover adjustments you'd expect. I really can't say enough good things about this head unit, and it's linked in the description. Okay, so this just got interesting. If you can see here, we'll see if it focuses on that. I don't know if it will. Let me see. Okay, so a lot of corrosion in the plug there and some moisture. But as you can see, this is an aftermarket radio, or sorry, aftermarket speaker surround here. And it was holding this Infinity Reference 6022i. Fun story, or maybe not, I don't know. But this was my, in my BMW, my first car, I had these exact same speakers, I think the same size too, and it's considerably bigger than the one I'd gotten to replace it. Somebody already has adapter plates in there to hold the bigger speakers. So the connection, or the wiring was really bad. The positive terminal broke as soon as I touched it. So there's a good chance this wasn't working correctly for a long time. But I A-B'd the 2 of them together using this little Lipi desk amp, and the Infinities sound better. So yeah, I think I'm going to just clean these up, clean the connections up, put them back in. I'll double check the rear doors, but this install video might have gotten a lot shorter. If it's the same speakers in the back, I'm not going to show you guys, obviously. So I'll get all that cleaned up, and then we'll see if we can get this sub installed. Okay. Since it's probably a fool's errand to try to waterproof the whole inside of the door, what I've instead done is take the wiring connection and I've taped the connections to the speaker, those terminals, which I don't think those are going to make as big of a difference. It's a little bit of a harder area unless you like just cover it in foam insulation or something impractical. And then on the connection here, I've just also taped that up with a bunch of layers of electrical tape. And I think what I might do is put it on and then check it. Well, if I still have any like sound cutting out, I'll obviously take it out immediately, but if everything looks like it's working fine, I might check it again in like maybe 2 or 3 months and see if it looks like that connection or right here is starting to degrade or anything. Then I'll go from there. Also, other stuff I found, this handle is loose, so I'm going to tighten that up, and then I'm going to put the door back on and we'll make sure everything's good. All right, there's no substitute for doing things correctly. The wiring in that door was also messed up and is now fixed. Same thing, the wiring harness. Actually, I think I've got it down here. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to focus on that. There you go. The connection had just completely worn out, not sure why, but that speaker wasn't working right either, so now that I've got them hooked back up, I mean, I remember what I liked about these Infinities, you know, 15 years ago, 14 years ago. They sound really, really good. I almost don't feel like I need a sub. I'm still going to do it, but like they actually have a decent amount of bass. Oh, you can see the cleaner left some streaks on that door. I'll have to go and clean that again. But yeah, I mean, it sounds really good. This head unit, for being so cheap, has a ton of customization options. I really wasn't expecting that, so I can't really show you what it sounds like, obviously, for copyright reasons, but I might see what I can do once I finish the install. But yeah, just saved myself a ton of time installing speakers. Luck of the draw. Just fixed all the wiring, got the head unit good, and then now I'm going to do the amp wiring. Running the amp power wire through a car's firewall can sometimes be interesting. In the WRX, there's a boot that's easy to access from the interior, and I just notched the boot and passed the wire through. But that means the power wire enters the interior near the pedals, so I had to be careful routing it and securing it to the other things under the dash so it doesn't become a safety hazard while I'm driving. Alright, I think we're done for now. So what I've done back here, I know what you're thinking, that's really ugly. And it kind of is, but the reason why I'm doing this strap running across there, first reason is to keep the box from moving. I can't fit a spare tire, or I can't fit a full-size spare in there at the same time as the box, so I need to look for a space saver. But for autocross, I need to be able to disconnect all of those connections pretty quickly. So I'm leaving the box turned sideways and strapped in, so within about 5 minutes of deciding I need to have the box out, if I've got tools available, I can have the box out and be ready to race. So that's the main reason there. And as we come around, nothing special to see here, just wires are all tucked in, no problems. Everything's hidden away, and the head unit, I mean, this is not a very flattering light angle, but the head unit looks good. Everything's tucked up. I'm extremely impressed with how many options this head unit has for being a budget one. You would never guess. I mean, you can tell by its style and the resolution of the display and stuff that it's a budget receiver, but it has crossover, bass boost, fine manual EQ options, like low pass filters, high pass filters, all kinds of stuff. And it's also got like the normal garbage like sound expanders and loudness and everything. But for just basic sound adjustment, I'm actually really, really impressed. This is probably my new favorite budget receiver. Bluetooth pairing was nice and easy, etc., etc. As always with a stereo install, it's frustrating because I can't really show you what it sounds like without, running into copyright issues on YouTube. But let's just say it sounds really good. Those Infinity Kappas or Infinity reference speakers are great. Once they've been, hooked back up correctly, they're great. And everything sounds really good. I've got it pretty much dialed in. I'll have to drive it around a little bit more and, tweak the settings a little bit. But yeah, I now have a stereo to listen to in this car, which I enjoy. And if I'd known about the speakers, or I guess that's my fault for not doing the research sooner, I could have saved $75 or so and done this all for like $150. So now I got these Rockford Fosgates. I'm going to need to put them away for now until I figure out what to do with them. There's probably some other vehicle that could use them, but that's it. This thing's all good to go. So I'm going to pull outside and let it idle to build the battery back up. And then I am going to clean everything up because my nice clean new workbench is looking like a mess again. Thanks for watching. Check out links to some of the products I use in the description. The ones that are affiliate links are clearly marked, and I'll see you in the next project.